This video is made for adult collectors because happy holidays. Move over, Superior Cyclonus. It's time to talk about... Oh. There's a new Silverbolt coming out, and naturally I wanted to get the old one to remember what it was like and see what is selling me on the new one. And just like Motormaster, I couldn't find the one I wanted, so I went for the redeco. This isn't actually Silverbolt, it's Cyclonus, who was a heavy retool of the Silverbolt mold, so this counts. And I forgot how rickety this mold felt. I used to have Silverbolt, like I said, and this is mostly still him, so I figured this works, right? Right? Anyways, this is Cyclonus, the torso of Galvatronus, released as part of the third wave of Combiner Wars. I like the details and the use of silver. There's a lot of silver on this, surprisingly, mixed with the really lush purple and the dark grayish purple shade. The proportions, though, they look really squished, but not like in the way of his limbs being too small. It's more so how close the limbs are to each other, like he's squished horizontally. Not to mention the hips are a bit rickety, like they rattle on the inner hip joint inside the crotch. And the knees are a little loose on my copy, which I could chalk down to it being used, but my Silverbolt was also like this, so I don't know how consistent that was. I do like how massive the wings are. It really spreads themselves and make that silhouette feel a lot more Cyclonus-y. They also feel less awkward than Silverbolt's did. He suffers from no neck syndrome. The head looks cool in all silver face and red eyes, but there is no neck. It's just in his chin, and it's kind of funny. He doesn't feel great. One thing I know for sure is that the new one will feel a lot nicer than this. That is a tongue twister sentence, given that it's a Commander budget. The plastic quality just doesn't have the greatest hand feel here, and it's a bit rattly with those strange hips. And these fins don't really like staying in, so honestly, after this video, they're just gonna stay in the box. As a Cyclonus, I think the Kingdom mold is a much better option, but this has to do two other things as well, so there is that. He is also super awkward to pose, though. One thing I forgot to mention, this is his gun. It's two pieces. It doesn't really like staying together. Oh well. So Cyclonus's articulation, much like Motormaster's, isn't the greatest, but unlike Motormaster's, there's a little bit less here. So the head can only really rotate, and it's really stiff because of the fact that his neck is so far into his chin. Can't really do an up and down. You can sort of move this panel if you want, but that's more shrinking his head into his body. Every time I move, this Roxy on my desk keeps rattling on the floor. These shoulders, they're ratcheted. They can go all the way around because they become the combined mode hips. You have a very, very satisfying click in the shoulders. Like, this feels very nice. You got bicep rotation, you have 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, nothing at the wrist, nothing at the waist. That is something that Motormaster has that he doesn't, and that is simply because the combined mode head is hidden on a hinge like this, so there's no room for a waist joint. Which also means the combined mode doesn't have a waist joint, which is unfortunate. The hips, click forward. They don't really go back that far because of everything here. They're on the worst feeling ratchets going out. These are just straight up plastic ratchets and they don't feel nice. You have thigh rotation, you have double jointed knee, and then the ankles can tilt back slightly because of transformation. But yeah, he is not the most posable thing in the world. I'd argue to say he's one of the least posable Voyagers from Combiner Wars. It just, Everything else is in service of all the other modes, which we should probably get to. So yeah, the robot of this mold in general is just weird. Unlike Motormaster though, this is the worst part of the three modes for me. So let's get on to one of the better two. Jet time. So the transformation is quite fun, except for tabbing the legs in is a bit annoying. So to start with, you're gonna fold the heels up. Then we are going to open these panels back here and fold this into place. Motormaster's making so much noise. Then rotate the legs sort of around like this. We're going to take the head, spin it 180 degrees and shove it in there. Then bring the cockpit down on its double hinge. Take these fins, you got a parts form Cyclonus, take the fins out. Then we're going to bring the arms sort of out like that and get them to T-pose. Now, you want to bring the legs around on the double knee hinge and they have to tab in. There's little, you can't really see that. There you go. There's little there are slots right there that these tabs have to go into. And it's very annoying trying to squeeze them in. Like, sometimes you miss and then you're just stuck fighting with this forever. Like I am right now. Come on. There we are. I don't like feeding those in. It's not fun. Then you take the arms here, and what's really clever is they've got this massive hinge, right, for combine mode. They've cut a big slot in here for the hinge to fit in, but it doesn't actually look weird in robot mode. I like that. It looks like a piece of detail. But you take the arm and you just shove that into there. It doesn't peg into the leg, which at first you'd think is but then the wing folds down and holds everything together. So like it all comes together pretty well. And you fold up these little fins here. Then you take these fins that you parts formed off and they go into his exposed hands to cover his hands up. Then you can fold the front landing gear down. And that's the jet mode. The gun just kind of goes wherever. You could plug it into here. Sort of. Kind of, maybe. Flip that around. It does have landing gear on it. So like it's meant to go here. You're supposed to actually fold the landing gear down first. I'm stupid. And then this goes here. There you go. That's the gun storage. So he has gun landing gear. Yay.
This is a really nice jet mode. It's a very stylized version of his original plane, and I love the detail all throughout, like the wings. There's so much sculpting on display with the addition of dark grayish purple. It looks so nice. And yeah, he's got the silver bit on his nose and the nice gold cockpit. That's also great. But there is an entire robot hanging out the bottom. That's just a Silverbolt thing in general, so I guess it's fine. But it is a nice, solid, swooshable jet. Everything pegs together really nice and solid, and I enjoy this a lot more than I did the robot mode. But this is a combiner, so let's get onto torso mode, because Cyclonus is now a combiner.
Alright, yeah, combine mode. So I find it easier to start from jet mode this time as opposed to Motormaster, where you should start from robot mode. But to start with, we're going to fold these down, you're going to bring the cockpit back, and then you're going to fold the wings up. Then you're going to take the whole robot here, flip it upside down. Now we're going to take the middle of the robot here, bring it up, and that's going to flip out the head. That's just going to peg into the back there. Then you fold out this little like chest piece or stomach piece here. Then the chest plate shifts around and closes up. And you notice there's a cockpit there. That's kind of funny. Apparently this whole thing had an alt Starscream head. I think that's why there's a cockpit there, but yeah, there's a cockpit there. We're gonna take these fins off, and I'm literally just gonna put them off to the side. Then you take the arms here, bring them down, fold out the hand, bring that down, fold out the hand. That is the torso mode. Pretty easy to do, a lot easier than Motormaster, I find. And it looks so much better. It's also nice and solid.
I really like this torso. Like, I think it's my favorite torso mode of all the Voyagers. The proportions to me work the best at this scale with this style of combination. Speaking of which, let's get some limbs on this idiot. Yeah, that looks way better than Motormaster. It can do poses, it looks cool.
Now, with all this being said, I do want to point out some problems with this thing as a torso and this whole combined configuration in general. Not using the Leo Kaiser limbs, but like the way this combines. The upper body's fine. It's the lower body that has issues because the legs are so heavy. As you can see, they unpeg the elbows. They're supposed to, they thoop into place, but because there's so much weight, and this happened on my Silverbolt too, they would cause problems. And then when you're just like, I gotta move the legs back down for a second, but if I'm like, oh, I want to move the legs up, yeah, they just come out. This Combiner War system was great, but it's not the strongest thing in the world, which is why I'm a little bit more okay with how the new ones turned out, because I know it's not, that's upgrade feat. I'm not blaming the figure for that. But the new one's going to be a lot more stable to mess with than this, because this has those thooping problems, and then these will just, they just come out. Like you should probably move them here at the hip. But yeah, and then that happens. It's not the best posing experience. It can look nice, but messing with it, I'm not a fan of.
Now, is this better than the new one coming out? I don't know. It hasn't come out yet. But personally, on visuals alone, and like the robot, I love the new one's look way more than the old. The old one just looks and feels awkward, and the new one has nicer proportions. As combined modes go, I like most of everything on the new one. I'm just not a fan of how far the jets stick out the back of the legs. Initially, I was fine with it, but having seen that one angle now where he's like slightly kneeling and his just calf is huge, it looks a bit awkward. But again, I'm not going to fully judge it till I actually get the thing in hand. But as for this, I don't really recommend it due to there being a better Cyclonus out there. But that's my look at Combiner Wars Cyclonus. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.